Do you know the Spider-Man story? I'm not talking about the Spider-Man origin story. I'm talking about the business story, the story behind the movies. This is a story of bad business deals, North Korea, corporate espionage, and also corporate co-parenting. So way back, obviously, Marvel were just a comic book company. They didn't make movies. They had comic book comics and they had comic book characters. So they used to make figurines. And they were, like all of us, thinking we need to diversify, get another income stream. And so they decided to license out the IP to some of their characters to studios in order for them to make the movies, not for Marvel to do any of that. And so that's what they did. In the 90s, they licensed out various characters, and one of them was Spider-Man, whom they licensed to Sony Pictures. Knowing what we know now, this was a bad idea, but at the time it really, really made sense. And so the deal with Sony Pictures was such that Sony would pay Marvel £10 million per movie, and they would give Marvel 5% of the revenue, and they would both split the revenue that came from merch associated with the movie. So Spider-Man comes out, Tobey Maguire is Spider-Man, and it's a huge hit. Huge, £800 million in revenue, the biggest hit, almost double what the nearest superhero movie had done previously. And Marvel are like, oh. This is also why you don't see Spider-Man in the first Avengers movie, because he was licensed to Sony. Now, part of the deal was that Sony had to put out a new Spider-Man movie every 5 years and 9 months, otherwise the movie rights and the IP would revert back to Marvel Studios. This was the reason that we were getting Spider-Man movies that kind of at a certain point didn't really make sense. Like, they seemed to have ignored the previous Spider-Man movie. They had to keep producing these movies. So in the meantime, Disney bought Marvel and they started buying up all the other studios that had the licensing to the other characters. So everything was in-house. Everything had come home apart from Spider-Man. So Marvel are like, okay, you know what? I need to go and speak to Sony. We need to bring our guy back home. And Sony are like, no, babes, no, we're keeping him. So there was like a little back and forth that was happening, and all it seemed to everyone was holding their corner until North Korea, apparently, allegedly, I'm not making any claims here, hacked Sony Pictures and leaked loads of information. There were embarrassing emails where apparently Sony was like jealous of Marvel, and also talk of this Marvel trying to bring Spider home got out, and fans were elated. There was a lot of pressure on Sony Pictures, so they had to kind of renegotiate. And so Marvel came to them with a solution and said, look, we will keep the same sort of deal, but we will produce all of your Spider-Man movies. And so that's what's happened. And that is why you see a strange co-star in the latest Spider-Man, and also why you can't see Spider-Man on Disney Plus.